Hey everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast, and we've got breaking news. Just as we thought it was safe to settle down for the winter, and there was going to be no more Blood Bowl releases this year, Games Workshop have dropped a sneaky surprise preview on the Sunday preview. We've got a Dungeon Bowl expansion, and Ripper Bolgrot is back. Okay, so it dropped on the weekly preview article on the Warhammer community. Our Sunday preview, get your fill of Age of Sigmar Battle Forces and the new Warcry expansion. But also, there's some good stuff there for us Blood Bowl fans too, which is pretty exciting. Let's zoom this in so we can get a good shot on the camera. So as we scroll down all the way to the bottom, which definitely doesn't say anything about how Games Workshop's feeling about us, we've got two big pieces to look at. One is a Dungeon Bowl expansion, and the second is an Almanac, including star players. New star players / returning star players. So first up, we've got Dungeon Bowl Deathmatch. Now what this looks to be is it's got a couple of teams in it. So I tell you what, we'll just read what it says about it, and we'll zoom in a little bit on the camera there so that we can get a good shot. Or I could have clicked it. The only thing better than playing Dungeon Bowl, playing Blood Bowl on the pitch, is mixing up in a dungeon crawl with portals and traps. This first expansion for Dungeon Bowl pits the College of Death against the College of Life in an almighty clash between two teams of mixed players. New dungeon tiles, tokens and more. Keep an eye out for the Wandering Werewolf. Okay, so we can see here that we've got both teams in the box. Now, don't get too excited. It looks like it's one sprue of Necro, one sprue of Undead to form the College of Death, and then one sprue of Halflings and one sprue of Wood Elves to form the College of Life. Now, I think this is what we're going to see as Games Workshop go through more and more releases for Dungeon Bowl, is they're going to just be combining the sets. So we've seen it with the College of Fire, we've seen it with the College of Shadows, now we're seeing it here with Life and Death. Which is pretty cool. So there's a couple of things, I guess, to pick out there before we go any further. It looks like they've got new dungeon tiles. There's an L tile with ghosts on. There's a little T tile. And there's 1, 2, 3 rooms. One of them's got a little grate on. One of them looks like it's got a torture chamber on, potentially. Not really sure, but there is going to be a Spike magazine that comes with it. It's actually Spike Presents Deathmatch. And it's a gaming supplement. It's got a box. And it's just those tiles from the look of it. So actually, this is a really cool way to add 2 colleges to your matchup if you don't already have them. And you get a few tiles in there as well. The game of Subterranean Blood Bowl Mayhem Gaming Supplement. So it'll be really interesting to see what kind of special rules that we get in the Spike Presents Deathmatch yearbook. I don't know. That could be pretty cool. Now, Wandering Werewolf. I wonder if we're going to have some kind of wandering monster rules for Dungeon Bowl. Probably too much to hope for, but that's fine for now. And now we'll move on to what's going to be probably the bigger news, is that they are going to drop a 2022 Almanac. Now, Games Workshop like to do an Almanac every year that combines all the Spike magazines. We've only actually had 2 Spike magazines this year. We've had Amazons and Norse. Not a huge amount, but there's more happening here. The Norse and Amazon issues of Spike Journal are collected in this compilation, which also contains rules for 8 new star players, including Cindy Piewhistle, Ropper Bolgrot, Withergrasp, Double Draw. You'll be able to pick it up in hardback and EPUB format. So this is going to be coming out. We're going to see Ripper Bolgrot, Withergrasp, Double Draw, Cindy Piewhistle, and Nobbler Blackwort is on the front cover here. So I think we can pretty much be sure that he's going to be one of the 4-star players that are returning. Now, Goblins have had a great time recently with Bomber. We haven't seen the FAQ yet, so at the moment, he's still one of the best star players available. But being able to take Ripper again, being able to take that extra cheap chainsaw if it is going to be Nobbler Blackwort of old, is pretty amazing. So big fan of that. And then there's some Forge World bits, which are, you know, more Space Marines and an Advent calendar, which is probably going to be more than I make in a year. And there's some Old White Dwarves coming to Warhammer Plus, which was just awesome, and some Warcry stuff you've already seen. Okay, so there's 2 things here to hit up. Now, one is this Dungeon Bowl expansion, and we flirted with this idea of whether or not this is what we were going to see as Games Workshop moved on with Dungeon Bowl and producing expansions, and what we kind of wanted to see. And realistically, I don't think it is going to get any better than this. I think this is probably what we're going to get for a while when it comes to Dungeon Bowl. Now, the good thing is they're kind of sticking behind it. Can we still buy Dungeon Bowl? That's kind of a really big question. You can still buy Dungeon Bowl, so it's not a temporary limited edition run, which is phenomenally useful because actually it's a great way to play Blood Bowl. If you watch the channel, you probably saw our Dungeon Bowl competition and well, we didn't do coverage of the tournament, did we? We will do next year for Dorset Dungeon Bowl. So a few extra tiles is cool, which means there's going to be a few extra rules in there for those tiles, which is kind of cool. Now, we've not used the tile rules much in Dungeon Bowl because there's a lot going on already. Now, it's just free depth for your game. It's the same as kind of using a pitch rules for standard 11s or 7s, because you just kind of add that extra element to the game. Now, when it comes to the room rules for Dungeon Bowl, there's 8 different rooms, so there's a lot going on there already, and the mixed teams, and the wizard special rules, and the teleporters, and the treasure chest. There's a ton of stuff going on, so I love it. It's just so much depth, which is just brilliant as a great and alternative way to play. So adding extra tiles with extra rules is quite interesting. I'm intrigued to see, because the tiles there, oh, that's cool. They've got like a little sun effect over here. As we kind of zoom in, we can have a look at the tiles. There's a sun effect on one half of one of the corridors, and there's ghosts in one of the other corridors. I would imagine that's going to be nothing, and the corridors mean nothing. They're just kind of one side is for life, one side is for death. And that's fine by me. But you can see we've got this little 4x4 room here with a kind of torture device that kind of looks like a bench with lightning on there, which I'm assuming kind of ties into the Necro kind of vibe of having the flesh golems and, you know, Frankenstein. So it's a pretty cool design piece. I like that. I like that adding stuff. But for me, there may be some cool rules in there, which will be great fun. But for me, the biggest thing is this spike release. And having those star players back is going to be absolutely massive. So it says 8 rules for 8 new star players. Now, the good news is, when it says 8 new star players, even though it's got a picture of Ivar and Glottalstop on the front cover, we've had 6 new star players. So if they had Cindy and Ripper and Withergrasp and Noblar, then it would actually be 10 new star players. So I think we can assume there's going to be 8 star players that are new to this edition, rather than just new from a rules point of view. Now, I wonder if we'll see anything else in there, because actually, quite frankly, the Spike magazines, as wonderful as they are, aren't really going to warrant much of a book. And 8 star players certainly isn't going to add any more than 4 pages. So we could be looking at a Spike Almanac that's maybe 80 pages big, which is a little bit less, I think, than the historical ones. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe that's about right. All of that is complete garbage, because Ripper coming back, Nobler coming back, I'm assuming they're going to lean into the Badlands Brawls element here as well, so I'm going to guess that the other star players that will be coming back will be stuff like potentially Scrapper Sorehead, and who else did we see in Blood Bowl 3 beta? Not the beta, did we see him in the beta? We saw Loki Fellheart, the Dark Elf with the tentacle mask. So we got Ripper, Cindy, Withergrasp, Nobler for 4, because he's on the front cover. Then I think we'll see Loki Fellheart because he's in Blood Bowl 3. So that's 5 for me. That leaves us 3 spots left. Now, who's the most important star players that are missing? And I do think Scrapper would be a great one. So Scrapper Sorehead is a pogo stick goblin. That would provide a ball carrier, kind of agile player for the Badlands Brawls team. Those ones are kind of suffering at the minute. I guess Ogres can kind of take Griff, whereas your Badlands Brawls, I'm just thinking Black Orcs. There's no agility piece. There's no ball carrier piece that you can pick up from a star player point of view. So I would guess that number 5 would be Loki Fellheart. It might not be his name. I can't remember his name. That's how I remember him, but if he comes back, fine. Scrapper Sorehead would be my pick for number 6 because that kind of fits in with the Badlands Brawls element. We've got Ripper back, you've got Nobbler back. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see Scrapper Sorehead back. That would just make sense. Now, that doesn't actually mean anything. When it comes to Games Workshop and their releases, they kind of go with the flow and just end up releasing something that's really cool. So I don't know the other star players that we're going to see, and I'm very excited about that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up. Let me know in the comments what you think of this news release. I know it's not much, but actually these star players landing will be great, and it's always wonderful to see a few extra rules for Dungeon Bowl. So I'm pretty happy. It's not a big release, it's not a team, it's not something else, but actually it's fun. It's not over the top, which means we can have a reasonably calm Christmas without a brand new edition of the game. Just a few extra bits and bobs there to keep us entertained, and I think I'm all right with that. Anyway, let me know what you think, and let me know what your star player guesses are, because I'm assuming in the next 2 weeks we'll find out. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back soon with more Blubber content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to support the channel even further, please like and subscribe. It really does help us out. Or come join us on YouTube Members or in Patreon, where you can get exclusive access to some content, some loot, early access to basically everything we do, as well as regular competitions. Or you can pick up some Bonehead Podcast loot either on our website at boneheadpodcast.com. We've got the Dungeon Bowl things, we've got tokens and stuff like that, or on our Spreadshirt site as well. Everything you do just helps us make more content and hopefully do it of better quality. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Happy blocking.